Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
I'd love to go one day. I have like slight trepidation about Australia just because like everything that you see in America on like BuzzFeed articles about it is that you guys have animals that will kill you the minute you step off the plane. Every insect, like giant lizards, just like that's my perception. It's probably
Yeah,
wrong, but
no, it's like, I mean, that does exist, but in the cities, we've kind of just driven them all out.
oh,
In
okay, okay.
I'm not sure how good that is, but yeah. I mean, I finished high school in America, and I remember when I went there, all the kids had like really wild ideas about what Australia was like. And this is, over 10 years ago too. So like even back then, thought like we didn't wear shoes and rode kangaroos to school. Like not they wouldn't say that in jest. Like they were like curious, thinking that was a thing.
Right. Yeah. Where'd you go to high school?
In Maryland.
Oh my God. I did not know that. I have where in Maryland?
It's in Annapolis. Do you know that place?
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have friends who live in Ellicott. I performed in Annapolis before. I performed all over Maryland, but like my friends live in Ellicott City in Baltimore, and every year we go to Ocean City to just we rent a house and we just fuck off for a week, and we basically drink for like 6 days straight is what we do. Even at the age we're at now.
Oh, sorry. That is the agenda. Everybody's agenda when you go to Ocean City.
Yeah. This is like the first year. I don't know what happened, but somewhere between the last year when we rented a house there and COVID hitting, and now this year we went from beach house during bike week next to the ocean to a lake house. We aged drastically.
No, that's it. That is pretty good. Very telling.
It really is. Like I am actually, and I'm excited about how calm that sounds to me. Where I'm like, oh, just a nice Sandra Bullock weekend in a lake house, a hot tub. Oh, that's awesome. Though. Did you like it when you were here in America, or you prefer being out there?
Seemed like the quintessential high school experience where, you got like 700 kids in your grade, and I don't think I learned a single thing. I think I might have lost information in that school if I did decide to attend from day to day.
Not learning a single thing is the quintessential American educational experience. So you got your money's worth.
Well, it's free, I think.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
I mean,
Welcome to
it was really fun.
Everything I've seen in Australia looks beautiful. The beaches look beautiful. You guys have incredibly attractive people in Australia, which puts just America to shame all the time. I don't know what it is over there, but you guys are all fit and gorgeous and working out all the time. And I'm from New Jersey. We literally, like most of my people, I'm Italian. So if like half of us are made of garlic knots and Ed Hardy t-shirts, you know what I mean? Like it's not not a. Did you say you're into that?
Yeah, I mean garlic and Ed Hardy. I haven't heard Ed Hardy for a while. There you go. But like, especially in Sydney, like I think we just live outside a lot, and you should, because it's like the land really draws you in. So I think you end up, your lifestyle kind of, revolves just very naturally, or just by moving and engaging with the land.
Yeah, I feel like that helped a lot with just during the COVID stuff too, because you guys are like, they did say if you go outside a lot, obviously the mask thing and stuff like that too, but like just being outside and still staying healthy and shit like that. Because you guys were like, when we were in fucking major lockdown and America was slowly crumbling, I would just scroll through pictures of like, I don't know. I mean, I follow Chris Hemsworth. That's it. I'm trying to think of other Australians that I know that I follow, but there's no, like, I have like one friend who lived there, and then it's Chris Hemsworth. So
yeah,
Yeah, but like it was just everybody seemed to be living it up. Today We're the Greatest is the album that were you guys planning on working on an album and then COVID kind of put a stop to it, or were you guys sitting around during COVID and you were like, fuck it, let's write an album?
Well, we actually made the album before COVID,
Oh,
which I'm
nice.
really glad because we made it in LA
Mhm.
and you know, realizing that that would actually be our last time in LA for a very long time because we were supposed to also move there, you know, and I was pregnant at the time. So I was like, I got to, you know, get this album Baby out before the baby comes because I just didn't know what life was going to be like on the other side of that. So it was kind
Right.
of awesome that like, we had our own kind of push because then it meant we had a record basically before COVID hit. But it, yeah, like we were going to release it earlier, but it kept pushing back because pandemic.
Because like I feel like today, like for me in general, like a lot of bands like will come out with a song, but a lot of stuff is meant for like a single use. You know what I mean? You listen to the song, you kind of toss it or whatever. Your albums are like one of the few that around that I love that like I can listen to from beginning to end with no problem. Like I have to listen to the full album. And a lot of your songs I feel like I want to play them over again. Like you have a way of ending a song where I'm not done with it yet. And I need to listen to that song again. Is that thought out ahead? It's like it's pitch perfect and it gets to the end and it leaves you feeling so uplifted, and no matter what pace or what tone the song is in, it just leaves you feeling amazing. And I'm always like, I'm gonna listen to that again. I just keep it going.
I'll have another one of those. That's funny. That's nice. I mean, you know, it's like partially that probably has something to do with Tim, who is he's produced like a lot of our stuff. He's my husband and the best. And every time like I bring him a song, he's like, yeah, cool. He's like, no, I want to trim about a minute out of it. And I'm like, how dare you take this from me? I actually think like it's good because I'm like, I could sit in, you know, sound or a soundscape for a long time. But I think part of like is like that tension and release, and then also like, you know, stepping out. You know? And so it probably has like something to do with that, which is kind of cool. It's nice to hear. It makes me feel like, you know, I don't have to be so heartbroken when like Tim wants to slash the song to pieces.
Oh yeah, it makes total sense to me now. It's genius because it is like there's a lot of my favorite songs kind of do that. They always kind of leave you wanting more like of that song or whatever. But yeah, yours are like almost every single one. It's like I'm not done with that yet. I need to hear that again. Yeah, and your love is like that. That's one of my favorite songs that you guys have, and I've listened to that on repeat. I was when I was promoting this the show because we're live. I had to stop myself from using that one over and over again just because it's like one of my favorites. And I love Mistake. I love Edge of Town. I love Cellophane is another one of my favorites off the new album too, and Bad Neighbors. But like I just kept going back to Your Love, and I was like, John, fucking just relax.
No. Oh, that's funny. It's, you know, I like it when some certain songs just kind of get their hooks into you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was definitely a thing that I was wondering about. Cool. That's so cool. That's your husband. How did you guys all meet? Were you married beforehand, or did it like happen organically?
It was like one big rolling ball of everything where like we met, and then we like started the band. Harry, our drummer, is an old friend of Tim's, and I was like kind of doing my solo project for ages, and I was looking for people to work with because I like wanted to be in a band, but I've never been in a band, and I didn't know how to be in a band. I was like, how does one be in a band? And then it's because like I grew up playing classical piano, and it's like you don't do that with anybody else. You just play by yourself. It's like the most kind of introverted musical experience there is probably. And so then I met Tim, and then kind of like it just kind of all happened at once, and then we got married, and then like we released our first song, Edge of Town. I think it was like a couple months later, and then we were touring America a couple months later, and then we've never really stopped. And it was kind of nuts too, because like, you know, our first tour we were in America for like 3 months, and we were all of us three were sharing a hotel room every night. You know, it was
Oh
just
my
kind of
God.
like, it was such an intense kind of experience because it was like marriage and band and America, and we just literally have been kind of rolling like that for the last 4 years, and then had this like big plot twist, as everyone has had.
Yep. Yeah, I know. That's the thing that either keeps you. But like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like level of creativity during this time. I mean, I've had ups and downs, during it too, where I felt like I was going strong in the beginning. In the beginning of this, not that it didn't affect me. Like I know some shit was going on, but I was kind of like, I feel great.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Like it.
yeah, I think that's something that, has talking to a lot of people, like, in amongst all like the loss and the pain and the confusion, there is
Yeah.
also like a stripping away of things that you realize that you were like living for that actually were just creating more stress and anxiety in your life. And so there's
Right.
almost like this like great big sigh of relief, I think, for a lot of people that was like, I didn't have to do that. Oh wow,
Yeah.
like I can just rest. That's crazy. Initially, or like, I guess that came at different points for different people. But like,
Yeah.
the stripping away can be painful, but also can be like, oh, like shit, I didn't actually want that or need that, and it's gone, and I'm free.
Yeah. And that's actually like a good point too, because I feel like career wise, everybody kind of realized, like for me anyway, there was like people that I was probably doing business with at that time that I felt I still had to, and then when it kind of fell by the wayside, I was like, oh, I don't need these people anymore. I can kind of do all this on my own, or it was just a nice kind of moment of clarity too, to take a pause button and be like, oh, nice, this is I can actually survive on my own.
Yeah, and I think that is part of like it too. It's like a big revealer of yourself, I think, and for good and for the bad. Like you really see yourself when everything else is like gone. You see like, who am I
Mm-hmm.
alone here? And then it's kind of helpful because there are things that you're like, that's really good, beautiful, I want to keep that, and then also like that's really ugly or weak, and I want to work on that. So
Yeah.
it's been the great reveal for many people, and then just like trying to figure out how to like retain some things and then change other things, I guess.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing too. That was kind of like a weird thing for to see, is people who you thought like had a hold on shit kind of and I'm not saying I took any particular joy in it, but it was kind of like seeing all these people who, claim to have such a headstrong way of doing their livelihoods or whatever the hell it is, kind of fall apart because they didn't know who they were to begin with anyway. And I feel like it was nice to go like, oh, I do kind of have a sense of myself and who I actually want, or what I want or whatever. And then kind of just coasting in the beginning. I mean, the winter hit and I was like semi miserable.
Yeah.
Because I was just like,
I
was like, all right, this is getting a little much now.
yeah.
Yeah. And I probably ate way more than I should have, but working on that now. But that was like a real moment of clarity too. And that was like another thing too, because I don't know, did you guys have protests in Australia when America was going through all that stuff too, or did they?
No, not like you guys. We had a few things going on, but yeah.
It seemed to be like one of those, and I don't even want to get into it like too much or like that, but it was another part of COVID where like it seemed like everybody kind of had that moment of clarity where like you didn't have to work at a job or worry too much about where you're going to be or who you're going to be around. So you had time to focus on literally everything that was actually going on in the country and things that mattered. So for us, it was kind of like, I actually have time to focus on this shit and we're pissed about it. So let's try to fix it.
Which is really
nice.
good. And I think almost like, a good reminder of like how we all like want to be able to live is that, so we're not so absorbed with our own thing and building our own thing that like, that we can lift our head and be like, we could lend our energy here or like get behind this thing here. And I think, that's like the power of people and, the collective. And I think that can be a bit of a trap, of the West, is like you just like put your head down and you build your thing and you like work. And there's like obviously good stuff in that, but it's like, you definitely see the breakdown of community and family and like all these things that I feel like are so important for us to kind of like keep working on like reaching out. So it's
Mm-hmm.
cool that we saw moments of that in that space.
Yeah.
You know, I do feel like hopeful and excited that like we could keep figuring out how to incorporate that into our lives, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's the exciting thing about like all of this kind of stuff. I hope people keep it in mind coming out of it, because it would suck if we all just went directly back to 2019 before any of this happened.
Yeah, which it will be easy to do though, you know, like,
Yeah.
So it's like you have to figure out how to like not do that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to kind of hold strong in the things you learned during this time. That's why I liked doing, I had no intention of sitting at at any desk, honestly. Like I like I like being on the road, I like traveling.
Yeah.
I do that so many times on this show, like fake flip a desk.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you did that first, because I feel like sometimes people have no idea what I'm doing, but they're like, did he just have like a seizure? What happened? But I totally knew what you were doing when he was like, yes. Yeah, like I didn't want to do any of this, but now I'm like grateful that I get to talk to people I've never met before from all over the world, and my friends and I feel like I've gotten closer too with just people we hang out more now virtually than I think I ever saw anybody, in person. So it's kind of cool. And I want to just backtrack a little, because you had said something that I wanted to ask you about. So your first instrument was a piano. Did you want it to be classical piano, or were you like, was it just like a kid thing that you did?
Well, I mean, my dad was really into classical music, and I think it was a wonderful entry point into music. I studied that quite intensely growing up, quite performatively, and I actually really loved it. Like I love classical music myself, and so it's like a very like kind of pure relationship for me, and I feel like, I actually was a piano teacher before the band kicked off. So it was like, I think the piano is a wonderful way for you to really like understand music and kind of engage with music. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful actually for that part of my upbringing, but it doesn't my experience of it didn't kind of like, it didn't give me things like, it's not collaborative. So I had to really learn that later on, because it's very much learn the music and you play. And also like I was quite shy, so I really had to learn how to like perform, because with the piano, when I did my performances, you sit on a grand piano and you stick up the lid and you just like hide behind it and play.
Right.
Bravo, bravo. And then, as I started writing songs and singing, I was like, wait a second, I'm gonna have to like do this. And so it's like, it's been really good for me, but still pretty angsty, because I'd much prefer just to be like, absorbed into the piano, as opposed to like being like, this is my song.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy, because I see you perform. So you must have gotten better at it over time or whatever, but like I don't see any of that. I don't see any. You like kill it every time. I just saw you guys on, was it GMA?
GMA, what's that?
Was it Good Morning America, or was it CBS?
CB, the news one. I don't know.
The news one. Okay, yeah. I don't. I live here and I don't know what it is. But it's one of the popular ones. But I just saw you guys on there and you guys crushed it. So that I couldn't tell at all that you have any kind of, performance anxiety whatsoever.
I mean, I'm definitely like, I'm much better now. I mean, that's what 4 years of like touring around America will do to you.
So for people. So for like younger bands and stuff, and people watching though, like, would you have any advice for like how to get over that if they've got some of that?
I mean, for me, it was just had to do it again and again. It's like that kind of pushing. It feels awful, And then like you can pick your poison to like figure out what could help you get out there. But then, so like I drink a bit, but now I have to stop drinking, because the poison can then be too poisonous.
What was your drink of choice?
Like beer, unfortunately, because then I would like burp on stage all the time. But then I was like trapped in this like thing where I was like, I need to have beers before I get on stage. Like we love drinking beer in Australia. It's like
I've heard that I heard that the beer in Australia will knock you on your ass if you're an American and you've never had beer there before. Is that true? I heard ours is weak, but
you got that weak beer. I don't know. But yeah, it's not a great pre-singing drink. But anyways, I don't drink anymore before I go on stage.
I hear you.
I'm free.
I've done I've done it. I've drank only a few times before going on stage. I was too afraid to when I first started, so I was one of those comics who had like a beer with him on stage as a prop because he was nervous. So I just went out there full nervous energy, did whatever I had to do, and then got off sober. And then like for some reason when I was starting to get better or whatever, I was like, yeah, I can fucking do this. I'm gonna have a couple drinks or whatever, and it did not go well. There is more than a few times where they were like, "Is he okay?" And I would just not get off. It was there was
like, is everybody feeling this? This is amazing.
I'm imagining laughs. I'm like, "This is great. I'm killing." They're like, "You're on the roof. Get down." Um, I did one time. I did an auction. No. I did like some kind of event, and afterward there was like they got to auction off prizes or something like that. But by the time I got done with the event, I was drinking on stage, and then people kept buying me drinks, and then they asked me to go help with the auction. I started giving shit away to people that didn't win.
No.
And they were like, no, stop. And I was like, I like your face. You get this signed Mickey Mantle, baseball. They were like, okay, stop him. Like,
that is amazing.
Yeah, like, get it off me. Yeah, it was good times. So you started out off a piano, which is actually kind of cool. I like the piano, but I don't. I still have stickers on my keyboard. So I like I'm not good at any of that kind of shit. Do you have another instrument that you worked towards after that, or is it just like
yeah,
your
I mean,
favorite thing?
Well, so it's funny because when I first wrote Edge of Town, I wrote it on the piano, like on a keyboard, and it was like an electro like pop song.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met Tim, he was like, "Oh, maybe you should try play it on the guitar." And I was like, "I literally know 3 chords on the guitar, but conveniently they are in this song." So I started playing on the guitar, and it was kind of like this whole new sound was opening up in my imagination. And I was like, "Oh shit, this is sick." So I pretty quickly had to like figure out how to play the guitar for the band. So now, I play the guitar for most of our set. But I actually play a right-handed guitar like upside down, like I play it wrong, essentially.
Wow.
So the strings are like the wrong way around. So I've kind of just had to like teach myself how to do it. But like I kind of trapped myself because I'm very left-handed and my dad had a right-handed guitar. So I like just taught myself the wrong way. And then I was like, I tried to like learn it the right way, but I just couldn't get around it. And now I'm like too far gone. So
do people like comment on that when you're backstage, like after you get done with the concert, like, do you know your
yeah people comment all the time because in fairness it looks very strange because I strum up. Most guitars strum down because you've got the bass notes up top to give it that fullness, but I have to go up, and it just looks very bizarre. Wow. And also like the chord shapes I do, I have to like use my thumb. So like people call me the claw, and my hand's like, it's good stuff. I'm a professional.
No, that just makes it even better. Like I had no idea. Now I'm going to be trying to look out for that when I watch you guys play. I wish I could play the guitar. I can't play any of that kind of stuff. I have a banjo that I've tried desperately to figure out. And then one of my friends was also like, you should probably, you know how to play the guitar? And I was like, no. And they were like, you should probably start with something like the banjo's too hard for you. I was like, oh
yeah, you need like a gateway instrument.
Right. Yeah. I got it as a gift. So I was like, oh, I could try this. And then I was like, I fucking suck so bad.
That's a funny gift to give someone who's like doesn't play anything. You're like, a banjo for you, son.
I know, it is kind of odd to just hand somebody something and you're like, cool, pressure, great.
I like it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So when your first road gigs, were they in America?
Essentially, yeah.
Wow.
Which we don't even really know how, but our song just kind of like found its way onto American radio, which is kind of cool for an Australian band. It doesn't happen all the time. It just kind of like, because we didn't have a label or anything. We just kind of put it out there. And
oh wow.
And so then like, yeah, we had all these people being like, come here. And we were like, okay. And so then, yeah, and I think for an Australian band, you've just kind of got to be there and keep doing laps. So we've just been
Wow.
doing that. And I mean, to tour in Australia is like 6 major cities, and they're definitely not drivable. So you just kind of like pop in for the weekend and come back kind of thing. So yeah,
Okay.
we've spent a lot more time in your land.
Yeah, so that makes sense, because then I guess, because like I feel like that's like the people I've talked to who are like, you know, from like other countries who are bands or whatever, always like the goal is to get to America, and it seemed like you jumped like you just bypassed and then came right over here.
Yeah, kind of. And we didn't even really know like that it was like a big deal at the time. We're like, cool. I mean, we were like stoked, but we were just like such dummies. And we had like that we landed in LA for the first time, and our first thing was playing on Conan O'Brien, like the late
I saw
night. And we were just like, okay, like wasn't even working at the like it was like such like a mess. But like that's kind of cool though when you're like young, you don't really, you just roll with it, and it was a very cool like formative experience for us.
That was the first time I saw you guys was on Conan. Was that nerve-wracking?
It was so nerve-wracking. It was crazy. Like I have no idea what the hell I was doing.
That's insane. Did you guys get to? Is it like did you guys get to meet him or anything like that in the backstage thing? Because with comedian, okay, cool. Yeah, well, you get like the first couple things or whatever, and then you're just kind of like you blank out, and then you know, then you wake up the next day and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. What did I say? Yeah, no, we did, and he's definitely like 3 steps ahead of you at all times, you know?
Yeah, it's and plus it's like it's their home turf too, so you're just like they know you're like wide-eyed and starstruck and shit, so it's just always weird. Did you guys wind up landing in like a label like how does that work? In the music world, like so you went on tour first, no label, and then came back and automatically got one?
Well, we ended up while we were over there meeting, like we had been in conversation, and so then you kind of meet, and we've ended up working with this label called Domino, who've been like absolutely amazing for us. So it's been like really cool that we know we're doing it, we're trying to do it.
Yeah, no, you guys are killing it, man. I see like your stuff's played like all the time, like all over the place, and like all my friends know who you are, which is weird. I feel like music is so like spread out and stuff like that. It's hard to get, you know, everybody kind of interested in the same thing. But this is like, if I mention the Middle Kids to somebody, they're like, I love that band. So I'm just like, oh, that's pretty great.
That's nice. Cool.
It's a good bonding moment. So what are you guys getting to go back out on tour now, or you just had the baby and you're kind of just taking it easy, the new album's out? Because how does it work? Is it usually like you tour before the album comes out, or the album comes out and then you tour?
Well, I mean, technically it's like meant to kind of all, you know, coincide, but because of the COVID stuff this year, it's like been a bit different. And for us, it's kind of strange because our bread and butter is touring. It's not really the album itself. So,
right.
But we start tour in Australia next week. So,
cool.
Which is like amazing. But we're playing in these like kind of cool, like classical music halls. Cause you know, we still have like regulations, like you have to sit down and spread out. And so we're kind of leaning in to make it more of like a musical evening. Like we'll have other instruments. So it'll be kind of cool. And then we get to go to New Zealand because we've got this little bubble, this safe passageway to New Zealand. So that'll be cool.
Is this only for special musicians and shit? Like regular people can't use this bubble?
No, they can. All Australia.
Okay. Oh,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, you guys have nice travel over there too. We fucking don't have anything. We want something nice, but they're like, nah.
I know. I mean, you're still sorting it out, you know, just.
Yeah. I feel like I'm talking to a more advanced civilization, like somebody from an advanced civilization. You're like, yeah, we are pretty safe here, and COVID wasn't a big a deal. And
no, this is the island nation, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's awesome though. So you guys planning to come to America at all or no?
We are actually. I don't know how much I'm supposed to talk about it, but we are. Which is
okay. That's cool. What I wasn't sure if I could mention it or not. I was trying to talk to your publicist about it, and I was like,
that's funny.
She was like, sure, bring it up. If she wants to talk, she'll talk. Not
okay.
And I was like, okay.
Oh, mama. I mean, there's obviously so many variables for us to do it,
right?
Like, because the vaccine's actually really hard to get your hands on here. Everyone's like, give it to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we had big backlog, and I guess the urgency isn't there as much because you know, in the day-to-day, it's not a big deal. So there's that, and But yeah, we're really keen to, and I'm really like keen to, see what it will be like touring with a baby, because in my mind I'm like, it'll be fine, and like now I'm like, I'm not sure, so it'll be good to
yeah. And what's the plane? How far is the plane ride from here to Australia? It's pretty far, right?
14 to LA.
14 to LA. Okay.
Which is not so bad. You kind of like
No.
get to it. And then like we'll usually make LA our base and kind of like roll around from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be completely selfish and ask if you're coming to Jersey. Do you have like Asbury Park, great, Stone Pony, good place to perform?
You know what's great? I don't think we've ever played a show in Jersey.
What?
That feels wrong.
It does feel wrong. I'm insulted.
Yeah, you should be. I think it's especially to slight you, John. We're not.
All right. I'll take it. It's fine. I'll take the heat. Yeah, you gotta like.
Why?
I don't know either.
Sorry.
If I got you guys into, would you come to Jersey if I got you guys into the Stone Pony at Asbury?
I mean, I don't know. I can say yes, but
You should say yes. You should say yes right now. I'll clip this, send it to them. I don't know if you're a Springsteen fan or not, but that's where like Asbury Park, Stone Pony, it's legendary. It's pretty. Nobody gives a shit.
That's cool. That's cool. The legacy is very meaningful to us,
Yeah.
So, but like we play in New York a lot, and
that's cool.
We've also are you in Philly?
Am I what now?
Ish.
Am I near Philly? 2 hours, not far.
Ooh, yeah. Anyways, that area in my mind.
Yeah, it makes sense because we all kind of look the same. It's a little bit. It depends on where you live in New Jersey. Like where I used to live, I was about an hour and a half from Philly, so not too bad. I mean, and plus, like when you're on the road all the time, like I can't tell how far something is anymore because I've driven like cross country twice, so time has absolutely no meaning to me. So when people are like, "Oh, it's 8 hours away," I'm like, "Forget it, it's be fine." Yeah, but no, Philly's not that far. Like I've gone to Philly for concerts and stuff, and I have friends there, so it's not too bad. New York is closer to me. New York is only about like an hour away, and I'm in and out of New York all the time. Yeah. And then like Jersey, like there's parts of Jersey that are farther away, but like all the cool places are relatively close to me anyway.
Yeah, great. There you go. Yeah. You're in the sweet spot.
Yeah. I feel like now this is all about me coming to see you guys. And I'm like, yeah, just go here and I'll drive over there. I'm not that far. I'm like organizing your tour based around where I am.
Well, for the tour that may or may not happen.
The tour that may or may not happen. I don't want to, we don't want to, still, you got to get those vaccines. I just had my second vaccine the other day, and it knocked me on my fucking ass.
Is that true?
Yeah. It was worth it, obviously, because the alternative is, death. So, but yeah, I had it and I was down for the count for like a few days, but it wasn't too bad after that.
Oh, what a crazy life we live.
I know it is fucking weird. Like it was very like, so I don't know if you've seen like, I don't know. Do you guys go to if people are getting it in Australia, are they going to a center or are they going somewhere like a pharmacy or something like that to get it?
Dude, I honestly don't even know if I know anyone who's got it. Like, I don't even know how you get it.
It's maybe like you guys are the cure, and you just don't. And they're not telling us. That's why that's why they're not giving you the vaccine. Australians are just walking around with a cure for COVID this whole time. Nobody knows.
I love it.
Yeah, we had to go to like. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no.
Oh no, I was gonna say we had to go to like a convention center, and it was like out of a scene from every fucking movie where like the world is ending. Like there were dudes in army jackets and suits, and they were taking your temperature. I was expecting them like take somebody's temperature and be like, "We got to get her out of here." Like start grabbing. I was like, "No."
She's like,
"Yeah."
Child. I'm like kind of into this as a global experience in terms of like, I mean, in Australia, I mean the pain and devastation is so awful. But just generally, but also like for people to go through something like this, it's kind of like it's like a rewriting of something, you know, and it's like,
Yeah.
if you think you knew what life was about, you kind of like realize you don't really know anything. You're just a big dummy. And
Yeah.
that's quite good. That's probably a more real place to be.
Right. And that's
We're
a good
just
way of
big
looking at it too. I mean, like, I feel like you have to kind of look at this kind of thing to a certain extent with some silver linings, you know, and one of them is like you said, like it's a shared global experience. And how many of those can we actually say we have with people from all over the place?
Yeah. And, you know, maybe it's like in Australia, there is more conversation like that right now, but maybe I think that's like a privilege because we're a lot further ahead than other people. So I think
Right.
other people are not having that conversation because they're still like surviving, which is fair.
Yeah. Which is fair, which is total fair to say, because you guys kind of did your due diligence and kind of did what you had. Like, you guys had a good leader. I don't know if you've seen our the last 4 years of America's television show, but ratings were high, but for the wrong reasons, you know.
I mean, that's often
so
the way with ratings, is it not?
wow, that was a good dig. Yeah, that's actually absolutely true. But yeah,
but
no, it was
really
rough.
been through it.
Yeah, and now we're slowly coming out of it, and we're looking forward to ruining it all over again.
Just the way we do things, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. I just want to get back out on the road too and stuff, and you know, it's I've already got a bag packed. I don't even care if somebody hires me to go wave to somebody through my car window. Like, I'll do it. Like, I'm like, all right, that's fine. I will drive. Yeah, exactly. So now is it just are you guys constantly like, what's the like turnover for music for you guys? Like, you just got through that album. Are you automatically back to writing more songs, or do you guys give yourselves like a break?
I mean, you can give yourself a break, but we not. I'm actually already I'm going away this weekend. Something I'm like learning how to do is how to like write songs and also be a mother. Very different energies. Very different. So I think the solution I found thus far is to leave my house. So I'm going, and so like I just kind of like drive up or down the coast of where I live and just find little houses and stay there and ride and kind of go fishing songs, which is really nice.
Nice.
So we're like kind of in that zone, but which is always like a very strange zone because music is very mysterious and like you're making it yourself, but you're also trying to find it. You know, it's hard. I find it hard to explain, but like, you know,
I hear
sometimes they fall into your lap, and then sometimes you have to kind of go digging. And so I'm digging.
Cool. Yeah, I was talking. We have a you know, it's cool. I've been talking to a bunch of like musicians and comedians and stuff like that, and it's kind of interesting to talk about like their process. Like, comics, you know, have a different process obviously for writing than musicians do, and some people feel like, I don't know if it's yours. Like, do you actually like sit down to write stuff out, or do you wait for inspiration to come to you, or is it a little bit of both?
I mean, it's a little bit of both, but I actually find that like if I sit down at a piano and I start like just making some music, it's almost like starts stirring something. It's like kind of like it's almost like it's happening in real time, where it's like I know I'm making the chords, but the sound of the chords are actually the thing that's starting to like give me something. So it's kind of like I don't even know what you call that, but it's like it's like I'm like kind of sitting down, and like I guess the discipline is like create the space to sit, and then like usually once you're in that space, you can kind of like find some things. Not always
so the music,
things, but
does the music for you come first before the lyrics?
Yeah, big time. The music is like it's kind of like strange and cool because it's like the music is like I'm using my fingers to like hit the notes, but then the music feels like it's like speaking to me or something, and then I'll start singing something almost in response to what I'm hearing.
That's incredible.
So it's cool because it's like I feel like I am writing it, but at the same time I also feel like I'm not even sure what's happening. You know, it's like kind of mysterious, and which I think music is. Like I don't know, or like a lot of art, but it's like, you know, kind of speaks to you in a way that is like beyond words and in a place that often you don't even know exists inside you. So it's a cool thing to kind of like be engaging with a lot, because it's kind of in this like world unknown.
Wow, that's a great way to. I mean, you just described it pitch perfectly, because I don't know. It almost seems like there's an energy or something else that takes over, which I feel like all artists on some level feel like when something clicks, you're like, I don't know where the fuck that came from. It feels good. You know, it's like when an idea hits you. It's got, which is like crazy when you think about it, because it's like if you look at Einstein, you're like, that's why he fucking looked like that. You know what I mean? Like with the hair, like he was just constantly having these massive ideas hit him every time. Like we'd all look like that.
Yeah. That's such a good point. Yeah, I know. It's so crazy. And then like even as a listener, when you're listening to music, you're just like, which is why it's so good that, you know, we have these ways to like, or that people are making things, because then we can like engage with that part of ourselves through the thing they're making. And, you know, like I think that's one of the reasons why music is so important to me. Like, because when I was a teenager, I felt like, you know, I started finding music that was like speaking to me, into my experience, into my life, and kind of being like, I see you and I know you. And you're like, how? Like, it's so crazy, but it's like extremely profound and powerful and like helpful for you kind of even like figuring out who you are.
Yeah. It makes you feel so much less alone, because when, you know, like the way you do it in your songs, and anybody else mostly in their songs too, is like they're all writing from their own experiences, and they've all had this stuff happen to them, whether it's relationship stuff or family stuff, or like even like I had Art Alexakis, the lead singer of Everclear, on last week, and a friend of mine had bonded with his daughter over the music, and it was like helped him understand her a little better. And I think he said, as he put it, she was just coming out of the boy band phase. So and he had loved all the punk stuff when he was younger and whatever. So they kind of got to bond over that. But it's like my mom and I are the same way. Like most of my music taste, like over the years, like I love like 60s, 70s, and 80s music just as much as I love the stuff I grew up with in the 90s and, you know, like 2000s or whatever, because my mom had, no matter what we had, whether I'm you know, I still had cassette tapes when I was a kid. My first music was all cassette tapes. And then, which is just showing people how old I am. But like, I have that, but my mom either had like a giant cassette, all cassettes, like a case in the car. So wherever we would drive somewhere, and we always had family all over the place. So it was just like road trip and listening to music the entire time. And then it went from that to CDs. And, you know, my first CD player and MP3 player was all from my mom, because she loves albums, music, and stuff. So it's just awesome to bond over that.
It's so true. And those relationships that you have where you do like, where you have that discovery together, or someone shows you like opens a portal, they end up being like really special relationships.
Yeah.
Like my older brother like showed me some of my most like formative bands when I was young, you know, and it's like now I'm like, my bro. Yeah.
Who were your influences when you were younger?
Well, it was funny because I was so entrenched in the classical world, and then I like pop, you know, kind of growing up, and then pop was like the thing I would hear around a lot, which I really loved. But it wasn't until I was like, you know, 12 or 13, and I remember my brother like gave me these CDs, and it was like Radiohead and The Strokes and like Coldplay, like just all these bands that, like, still now are like so special to me. Like sometimes, like I really haven't outgrown a lot of my like early teen music, but yeah, they're kind of like some of the capstones of like my music. Just kind of that indie rock. And then as I got older, I got more into kind of like I don't know, like more like post rocky, like Sigur Rós, like more kind of like music, like just like I like lots of instruments and things like this.
Cool.
So, but like, and I think even, you know, back to what your point of like it's speaking to you, I think what's been cool about even growing up in the classical music is that like that music spoke to me and there wasn't even any words, you know. It's like, which I think is really interesting because, you know, so often it's like the lyrics that like get us and we're like, I feel like known and I feel connected, but like that can happen in music that has no words and you're like, what is that? That's really interesting. It's like the sound of like a violin descending or even a guitar like it's like, and I can listen to that and be like, I feel so seen and known and connected. And it's like, but it's like, it's cool to like even wonder about, what's going on for that.
Yeah, I loved I had a George Winston album. I don't know if you know, I think that's probably just an American dude, but he played classical music all the time. So when I was in high school, I'd had that. And it was one of those things I did have to like hide from friends because I was like, no one needs to know I'm listening to this. But it was very calming and very like I liked all the sounds of the instrument. And I love string instruments. So like, anytime violins or especially anytime I hear like a fiddle in a song, I'm like, I love this song. I don't know what it is. Don't care what it is. It's got a fiddle in it. So I'm
That's
good.
cool.
But yeah, I had one of those albums and I'd always kind of like keep it on the side. I never used to drag it out with other people, but it's good to have like also that private like there's always like some kind of I hate saying guilty pleasure because I feel like all pleasure should not be guilty. But it was one of those things where like I liked having that kind of stuff for like this is my alone time music.
Yeah, it's special for you, and it's kind of like it's nice that you don't feel like you have to share it with people because you're sharing it with the music. Like it's like there's enough there. That's
So I've never asked anybody this, but if you were, let's say you're living in a real dystopia, right? Which we kind of almost came out of one, so to speak, and you have one album that you could take that you had on the road with you. What album would it be?
Dude, that's such a big question.
I know it's huge, and I'm springing it on. You're the first guest I've ever asked, so I'm thinking about dragging out these dystopic questions, but you're the first one I'm working on.
Okay, well, one record I will say. It's because I just did a podcast and I talked about this record as one of my favorite records.
Sweet.
I have to qualify and just say like there are many records, but I know I can only choose one. It's it would be Trouble Will Find Me by The National.
Okay. Oh, like, I know The National. That's a great A Trouble Will Find Me. Okay.
They're like one of my favorite bands of all time, but this record particularly is just like the culmination of all of my favorite things. It's such a special record, and it's cool because I actually like it came out maybe like 8 years ago, so it's not even like you know how you use records that you're like, it's like Bob Dylan always like one of like the greatest records of all time kind of thing, but it's like this is just a very special one for me.
I wish and is it special just because no particular reason? You just love the way, or is it something musically within the record?
I mean, I just think like it just for them, it was like, kind of like, they were like just honing in on everything they were good at. And I feel like it all came together in this record. And a lot of the songs.
Opus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it actually is, but to me, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, to you, it's their opus. That's sweet. Yeah, music comes with so many memories and stuff like that too. Like somebody can play a particular album or a particular song, and I can tell you, it brings me back to like the exact feeling I had at that time. If it's anything that was playing while I was in high school, it's like it, and I hear it again, I'm crystallized and back exactly. I'm on that school bus. My friends and I all exactly. And then like my friends and I all had this summer job. We all had the same summer job. And there's like these aren't even songs, but there was like we had like that one radio station that would play all the top hits, but there were 5 top hits they were making money off of. So I have like PTSD with like anytime somebody plays Madonna's Ray of Light, I'm like I have this vision of summer heat and long lines and chicken nuggets boiling, so it just brings you back.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Trying to think of the one of the songs from this is gonna kill me because I do love The National, and there's one song I love in particular, and I updated my phone, of course, and I don't have my dumb music on.
I would love to know what it is.
Oh, it's just I'm looking at all their stuff now, hoping it. I don't know why I can't think of. I can almost hear it in my head, and it's gonna kill me. I'm gonna have to like message you or email you or whatever and be like, because this isn't good airtime to be like, can you just give me a minute, entertain yourself? I'm gonna try to find this song I should have. I was like, it's killing me. Oh my god! But anyway, that's fascinating. You're the first person I've ever asked that question. You answered it perfectly.
I mean, it's the only answer. Like, it's like I only answered it perfectly because I answered it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I just that's amazing. So I guess I told you I'd only keep you for an hour, so it's time is almost, we got like 5 minutes left. Can I ask you a few more questions?
Yeah, hit me.
Awesome. First person to ever say that on here too. So if you
Safe
had,
to say with distance.
yeah, exactly. Do you so is there like, I don't know, do you run into other younger musicians like on the road and stuff like that? And if you did, do you have any advice that you give them? Are you one of those people who like, like doles out advice? Like if you had something like some kind of thing you could say to somebody to give them like a heads up, either about the business or music or whatever, what would
I
it be?
mean, I don't think I am the type that's like, no, listen here, young one.
Listen here, youngin.
I do often like do like writing with younger artists, and I think like to me one of the most valuable things is like to, I think, just like help encourage people to see like their piece and to like honor that piece, and to help empower people to bring that piece, and like and kind of like unwaveringly like be that. Like I think a lot of the traps can be like putting yourself to the side and like trying on this and trying on that, and you kind of got to do that, I guess. But I think like art to me is like so beautiful when people are just like bringing who they are and bringing that to the world and like giving that. And I think like the more we can like tear down the barriers for us to like express ourselves in that way, like that's where like really beautiful art is. So I think like part of it is like like kind of you as an artist have to go on your own journey to figure out who you are in the first place, because like that's one of the biggest mysteries anyway. So I think like for me, I realized that like so much of my artistry is informed by just me living my life and engaging and trying to figure out what's important and meaningful. And I think music, if you're just like, if your whole world is just music and that's all you care about, it's actually like you don't actually have a lot to draw upon. Like so much of great art is when you're drawing upon your life and you need to go live. And I think like part of the quest is to like live the big full life,
Right. That is such good advice, by the way. Like not only for other musicians, just for other artists in general, is to make sure you have a life outside of your art. Like that's and that's something that it took, I think it took me a little bit longer to learn though too, is to have, because I like not to bring it back to me, it's not about me, but I'm like just in general, like I remember making a choice like to I love stand up, I love doing it, I love doing comedy, I love writing comedy, but like I had this I had a social life where I lived in New Jersey, and the other part of that was to move completely and immerse myself just in stand up. And I always kind of wonder like if I feel like I missed out on some stuff maybe in general doing that, but on the other hand, like I wanted to have an outside life outside of that, and I knew if I moved I would never it would just be too much of the one thing, and I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think people want different things, and I think that's cool. But I definitely can relate to that. Like there's a lot of stuff that feels important to me outside of music, and if you can try and like bring it all in, I mean, that's attention for sure, but it's worth trying.
Were you always this wise? Like, how did this happen? Did this happen? Did this happen over time, or did you just like come into this business like, all right, roll up some sleeves and I'm gonna?
Dude, I'm a mess, but we learn things along the way.
I hear you. That's great. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on and for entertaining me. And it's been a blast. Love getting to know you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for chatting. It's been awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And is there well, let me ask you this. If you had advice for a younger you, what would it be?
Don't drink beer.
Perfect. Say no more. That's the greatest. That's the greatest answer I've gotten out of that so far. Oh, that's amazing. All right. Well, thank you again so much. I appreciate you coming on, and hope you do it again.
Hell yeah.
And I love the album, by the way. We'll plug that all in the links and stuff, and I'll send you all this stuff. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
All right, you too. See ya.
Bye.
Dystopia tonight.